No autumn would be complete without having a pair of pears in your hands. Those windfall pears you pick up, you shake the tree, you gather your harvest of pears. There are so many things you can do with your pears. One of them is making the most fantastic, delicious pear wine, and that is what we're doing today. And for this recipe, we need about 1 kilogram of juicy, lovely, ripe pears. It does not matter the variety. Buy them from your local shop or harvest them from your local trees. It does not matter where you get them from. The juicier they are, the better. So what we want to do initially is chop your 1.5 kilos of pears into small, big, random sized chunks. You'd not need to worry about taking any seeds out. Some people say that the seeds can impart a bitter taste to the wine, but in the quantities we're making and the duration that their pips are going to be inside the wine, it will not have any adverse effect upon your wine. If you come across any mouldy, damaged bits upon your pears, simply cut it out, use the rest of the pear and carry on. All is good. What makes this pear wine recipe absolutely divine is the addition of about 15 grams of root ginger. It really brings out a vivacious bite to the pears. It brings out the sweetness, it brings out the flavour. So you want to grab a knuckle of ginger, about 15 grams worth. 17 grams is close enough for my liking. I don't mind a bit of the fierce, fiery heat that the ginger gives off. Use at your discretion. If you're not a fan of ginger, don't add it. Just make the pear wine without the ginger. And if you love the fiery bite that ginger gives off, add a bit more. It's your wine. Make it the way you want it. So what we need to do with your 15 to 17 grams of ginger is slice it up into small little chunks. Now you could grate your ginger if you wanted. However, my grater is in the cupboard and I cannot be bothered getting it out. So I'm just going to slice and dice into small little bits. With your pears prepared and your ginger chopped, you want to grab yourself a large fermentation bucket. Once you've made sure your bucket has been cleaned and sanitized and sterilized, you want to pour in your big chunks of pear and your grated, chopped up ginger into the bucket. Simple, pour it straight in, easy peasy. Now chop and squeeze in the juice of 2 lemons on top of your pear and the ginger. The acidity helps the yeast because yeast loves a lovely acidic environment. Also, it helps balance the flavour on the tongue. It creates that acidity that the tongue really craves and needs in a good wine. For the fermentables, the pears don't have that much sugar. They have some, but not enough to make it a full-on proper perry scrumpy. Not in this proportion anyway. If you wanted to make a perry, you would just have a load more pears and extract the juice. It would not be as strong as a wine. It probably come out about 6 to 8%. But we are going to be adding about 1.5 kilos worth of sugar, which will bring the total alcohol volume up to about 13.5 to 15%, depending on how ripe and juicy your pears are. So pour in into your bucket on top of the pears and the ginger and the lemon juice 1.5 kilos worth of granulated sugar. With your 1.5 kilos of sugar added to your buckets with those other divine ingredients, we want to pour over about 2 litres of boiling water and give it a really good stir to dissolve the sugar. And now we want to pour over some cold water to bring the temperature down, ready to add the yeast, and also bring the volume up to your 1 gallon mark. So pour over about another 2.5 litres worth of cold water and give it another stir. Get the liquid at the same temperature throughout the bucket. This pear wine is going to be brilliant after about 3 months of maturing. It is quite quick because it's a nice light white wine. You don't have the complex tannins in the wine that need a long time to mature and develop and round off. So you can drink this wine after 3 months after fermentation. Yeast-wise, I find a general purpose wine yeast works really well with the pears and the subtleties of the lemon. It does the job perfectly well. But as always, feel free to explore different wine yeasts. It's your wine. Experiment, play around with all the big range of yeast that is out there on the market. Sprinkling your chosen wine yeast into the liquid once you've made sure it's cool enough. And now we simply want to cover your bucket either with a lid or a towel. It is okay for oxygen and air to get in amongst the wine at this stage because the yeast does need the oxygen to go through aerobic fermentation, where it colonizes, it becomes strong, it becomes vigorous and vibrant. So air is good because you want to be stirring the fruit, making sure that it all gets submerged on a daily basis. If the fruit is exposed for too long to the air, it may go brown and then start to give off flavours to your wine. So keep the fruit being churned over on a daily basis. Set it aside in a warm place for the next 5 to 7 days. And whilst you wait the 5 to 7 days, why don't you read my latest book, which is a seasonal take on the variations of fruit you can use throughout the year and make what is in season and what is best to make and the jobs to do at the certain times of the year, as well as loads of other information, tips, tricks and advice for the seasonal, annual, year-round winemaker. So I'll see you in 5 to 7 days. You have a good read now. The aroma coming off your pear wine at this stage is delightful. A week has passed. It has now been fermenting there with all those pears and that little bit of ginger and lemon, and the aroma is like sniffing nectar, putting your nose really deep within the flower. It's fruity, it's light, it's refreshing, yet it's pungent. Once your pears, lemon and a little bit of ginger have been in your bucket for about a week, 5 to 7 days, we want to transfer the liquid into a clean, sanitized, sterilized demijohn. So simply pour the juice through a sieve into your clean demijohn. That is looking awesome. The sediment will drop in time, the clarity will improve. This will be a crystal clear, bright, shiny wine. So what we need to do now is insert a clean airlock into the demijohn. I'm going to set this aside next to the radiator or in the airing cupboard, somewhere warm, somewhere dark ideally. Let it stand, let it ferment, let it carry on doing its thing. When you do see the sediment dropped to the bottom and the wine start to clear and the sediment level build up at the bottom of your demijohn, rack it off, remove the liquid into another clean demijohn. Top it up with whatever you fancy. Pear juice would go really well. Then let it stand, let it be a bit longer. Let it carry on fermenting till it gets to dry. There's no more sugar for the yeast to turn to alcohol. Rack again, a final time, bottle, and by the spring, within 6 months, you'll have a fantastic, sweet, gingerish, tasty, fantastic, sublime pear wine. So whilst your pear wine is fermenting away and maturing, why don't you go and make a few more different wines? There's loads of recipes out there, such as this one by here. Go have a look and see what you think. And I will see you again really soon. You have a good day now.